Hey everyone, Pilot Spud here. Today we're going to be doing our flight from Liverpool and we're going to be flying to Amsterdam. Flight time we're looking at about 50 minutes and probably hoping for some tailwind for our main climb and cruising altitude just because of Storm Eunice, and as you can tell we already got some rain coming in and everything, so it's definitely going to be a nice flight for some good visuals and hopefully nothing too bumpy as we get out there. So let's go ahead and get started. Also, I just wanted to say thank you to all of my subscribers that have contributed and have been commenting and everything, and it really means a lot to me. So I mainly just started doing this stuff just for fun because I just enjoy doing this. So it really means a lot that you guys are enjoying it and commenting and, you know, liking the stuff that I'm doing. And if you guys have any suggestions of things that you want to see, just let me know and I'll definitely do that for you, just because, you know, if you guys want to see it, then I'll do it. So I've been waiting forever to get this EasyJet livery, so I finally got it. Not from the creator that I wanted to get it from, but at least it's something that we have so far, and I guess you'll hear the new sounds that are in it. So I think the sounds on this thing sound really good that Braddock has come out with, and I think it actually does sound like an actual Airbus, and especially with those Pratt & Whitney engines, it actually does sound really good. So let's actually get this thing started. Let's go ahead and turn on our master batteries. Coming on. I do really like the new sounds that they've added to this. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn on fasten seatbelt. No smoking. Those are good. Let's go ahead and get the ramp connected. People on board. They did a really, and this is the default Liverpool airport, and it looks really good. This is like one of the handcrafted ones, but I really like it. You'd have some interiors in there too, which looks really nice. Obviously, it's a pretty big hub for EasyJet and Ryanair, which is really nice to see. Alright, so while we wait for that, we can go ahead and get everything else started up in here. Alright, so let's go ahead and get, whoops, the wrong button there. Let's go ahead and get the FMS setup. So flying from Liverpool to Amsterdam, our alternate airport is, go ahead and check the flight plan here. It is going to be Echo Bravo Romeo. Flight number today is going to be U2337. Generally do like a flight level of 280 since we're not really going to be going that far, so I think 280 would be fair enough. And the cost index for this flight is 21. And we have zero fuel right now, so let's go ahead and get the truck called over. And then once we get the fuel, then I can do the performance, do all this stuff right here. I know for a fact that the transition altitude is going to be 5,000. And I believe Amsterdam is 3,000, but I'll check that as we get closer into our descent, once we set up the approach phase. So I'll come back to that in a second, just check to make sure we're going to be, so we're taking off runway 27 at Liverpool, and we're going to be landing on, we're using the ILS 27 approach. So based on the weather, because based on the weather reports right now, it looks like it's at medium flight rules right now, so the weather's not too great, but it's also not too bad. So we'll see as we get closer. I might be able to just hand fly it in as a certain altitude, but we'll use ILS just in case. I use ILS for pretty much everything just in case. You never know what you're going to get, especially with European weather, just because it's really unpredictable and it's constantly raining. Oh, look at that. That's really nice. Look at that. That's a good screenshot right there. Unfortunately, I can't take screenshots while I'm streaming for some reason on Xbox, but that is really cool. It's awesome looking. Alright, so not worried about that stuff just yet. Is the fuel truck here yet? Here it's somewhere. There it is. And for our fuel, we are supposed to be, our block fuel is supposed to be at 11,359 pounds. So that would be probably about 5.3, 53,000 kilograms, I think. So we'll put that in here. And then also let's get our flight director on. Constraints. Let's go ahead and check the plan real quick. So based on what the charts for approach plate for Amsterdam, we're going to be using the Lamso approach. So at Sugal, we're supposed to be anywhere from flight level 100 to flight level 70. And this has us at 10,000, which is fine. So we'll stay at 10,000. I believe it's 7,000 for most of the other approaches. And then 2,000, we're supposed to be at this point at Tidvo. We're supposed to be at 2,000, and then the runway should be pretty much right there, ready to go. There we go. Alright, so we are supposed to be at, fuel is supposed to be at 11,000, so we'll go down here and make sure it's supposed to be at 11,300. I think that's good. A little bit extra shouldn't hurt too much. Alright, so that's set. There's the field truck right there. Love this weather right now. Obviously, it's not pleasant for people living in London with Storm Eunice, but it does make for some really nice cloud shots and some really nice weather effects in the game, or the sim. Okay, so now that we got that, now we can go ahead and set up our performance. I say we're going to do a flaps 2 takeoff, since it's runway conditions are pretty wet and also it's raining, lots of clouds. So let's go to my tool calculator here. So we're taking off from EGGP, taking off runway 27. Runway conditions are wet, flaps configuration 2, packs on. Our takeoff weight in kilograms is going to be at, let's go ahead and pull up my calculator here. Let's pull up fuel. So we are at 122,395. Divide that by 2.205. That gives us about 55.507. Current temperature right now is 4 degrees Celsius. Let's go ahead and calculate to get our flex to temp. Alright, so flex to temp is going to be 54. Seems to be pretty much how it is all the time, it seems. VR speed, V1, VR speeds are good. I'm going to leave those alone. Okay, so I think we're all set. So I think we can go ahead and get the baggage on and pretty much start the APU, and then we're ready to go. And then we'll be able to hear that. I love the sounds of the engine startups. It actually sounds like an actual, like I said before, it sounds really like close like the Pratt & Whitney engines, like they're supposed to sound. I believe it's the Leap 1A engines, if I'm not mistaken. So as we come out here, we're basically taking out 27 right, we're going to be turning right, and then basically just following a nice straight out approach. Might get some turbulence on the way out, but based on the weather chart on the app that I have, Liverpool right now is experiencing 11 knots at 160, so not too bad, but might get a little bit of a crosswind as we take off, but nothing too serious. Let's go ahead and switch that to pascals, and we're going to be cruising at flight level 280. Insert that in. Everything else looks good. Wait for the baggage, should be done in a second. Let's go ahead and get the APU started. I'll show you guys how the new APU sounds as well. Sounds pretty good. Alright, let's get the APU bleed on, external power can come off, turn our fuel pumps on, and we're ready for pushback. Beacon lights are on, everything's set up here. Thought that sounded pretty good, then you should wait till the actual engine startup. So let's go ahead and get that going here. So let's call for the tug. Let's get engine master 2 started. What you guys think about the new engine startup? I think it sounds really good. Let's go ahead and get engine master number 2 started. Or sorry, engine 1. It sounds like on the outside. down spoilers. Just go ahead and go for flaps 2. Engine starter to normal. And go ahead and turn off the APU and APU lead. Alright, and then my favorite part is that when you actually get the engines powered up a little bit more when you're taxiing, it sounds really nice. It actually sounds like how they're supposed to in a way. I think that sounds pretty good. Also, speaking, well, if you guys have also seen that the PMDG have released a video on them actually showcasing the new 737, and it's an actual video of them like showcasing pretty much like all the different customizations and actually flying and real, like basically what it would look like when we're flying it. So I cannot wait for that to start happening since they are in beta now. So that means hopefully in the next, I would guess probably next couple months, I'd say we'd like to see it, or hopefully even earlier, but honestly it's worth the wait. But if you guys want to head over to that, that would be really cool to check out. I just saw it today and it looks really good. And the fact that you can use the FMS to actually customize the interior of the cockpit, the winglets and everything, I mean it's going to be something else. Definitely a game changer for sure. Sounds on this thing, it sounds really good. Default sounds are not bad, but it's just not as realistic. I mean, this probably isn't as 100% either, but it's definitely an improvement. I know some people said that they don't really like it, but I think it's pretty good. I mean, for the price for the pack, obviously I've seen the other liveries, and I think EasyJet was definitely one of the best ones that they made. I'm really waiting for Four Simmers to come out with theirs, and obviously I know that they're going to be higher quality, and there's going to be a lot more to choose from for European liveries and stuff. They also are going to be releasing Aer Lingus. I think they teased a couple of screenshots, so that looks really nice. So I'm going to be definitely excited for when that comes out. So I guess time will tell for that stuff. Obviously, can't rush things out as obviously the faster it comes out, it might not be as good. I know Bradock is pretty quick with their stuff. Obviously it's not up to par with a lot of things, but you gotta give them props to getting things out as quickly as possible and getting updates out better than most other simmers. But at the same time, there's that argument of like, well, is it good or is it bad type of thing. So it's just good to get any content on Xbox. It just shows how desperate we are. The sounds of those engines. The paint job is really interesting. It's like orange when the sun is directly on it, but when it's in the shade, it's almost like a red color. It's really interesting. It's almost like metallic. I'm not sure if that's actually how EasyJet's livery is in real life. I don't think it is. I think it's just a nice orange, but it is really interesting from what I've noticed. It's like, that looks good right there, and then it just gets like this red. It's really interesting. Also, you know, I'm sure Four Simmers is going to be really good compared to this, but I do like the fact that they added the Neo livery onto this, because I know Four Simmers is just the default one, but I think it looks, yeah, for the price, not too bad. Can't complain too much. Quality looks good. It's nice and sharp in a lot of areas. Alright, so now let's get focused here. Get our altimeter set up before we are ready to go. And if I pull up my weather app, if you guys are curious about what weather app I use Station WX, and that gives you pretty much everything you need to know about weather, where it's coming from, the direction, the altimeter, the temperature. Pretty much gives you everything of whether it's going to be VFR or IFR rules and everything. So it kind of gives you a heads up before you actually start, you know, your planning and routing, so you can kind of get a pretty much a gist of what's going to be going on. So temperature is going to be 1004. Okay, let's go over everything. Make sure we got flaps 2, ground spoilers armed, engine start is normal. We're going to just set our auto brake to max. Let's go ahead and get takeoff lights on, strobe set, landing lights can come on. One quick thing. Our squawk code set in there. It'd be cool if we had VATSIM on the Xbox, but it just, yeah, it definitely would not work. They can barely just get other things onto this thing. That would definitely not work, but one can hope. Alright, so everything is set. Constraints, flight directors on. Lights set. Everything in here is set. Performance takeoff is set. Everything here is good to go. We'll get the VOR once we're actually up in the air. I think we are ready to go. What is going on with the weather? Huh, that's really strange. Okay, I guess the weather just decided just to... Did the weather get turned off? Nothing there, that was weird. Obviously we're not in real time, but okay. Alright, let's go ahead and continue. Let's go ahead and get to 50%. Alright, flex. Knots. V1. good shots right there. Look at that. Go ahead and get autopilot 1 set. And we're just going to monitor until we pass 5,000. Set the altimeter back to standard. Should be coming up in a second. Hear that engine noise. I mean, I still think it sounds really good, especially compared to what we have. Not too bad on turbulence for our departure. We are getting a nice little tailwind though, which is good, so as soon as we get lined up here, it should help us along with our trip. A little bit of turbulence up here as we're going into the clouds and over them. Alright, we are passing 10,000. Go ahead and turn our landing lights off. The plane is now going to manage speed to 320. Alright, spoilers are disarmed. Everything else looks good. Just wait for the plane to catch up to speed, and then we're going to continue our ascent to our top of climb, and that should be a nice smooth approach right into Amsterdam. It's really nice weather going on here. Almost like the eye of the storm right here. Here, let me pull up my charts. So the Schiphol VOR is 108.4. And let's go to the actual approach plate here for ILS 27. Our second VOR, which is 113.3. So we have a little bit of turbulence, but nothing too bad. Nice to be expected. does look really nice. Again, a really good tailwind here, so it'll definitely help us with our time of arrival. I think the official flight plan said airtime is 15 minutes, so maybe we'll be able to cut back on that a little bit. It's not too far of a journey. Also, for other streams I have planned, I'm definitely going to be doing the Ryanair livery display. So I'm going to be flying the 737 MAX. So I'm not a really huge fan of the plane itself in this sim, mainly just because of the Bradock just didn't really, you know, it's I don't know. I mean, it's fine, but is it like the real thing? Absolutely not. I mean, the interior just looks a bit off in a lot of areas, but I mean, that's all we got right now. But it can fly well. It's definitely had its problems. I've flown it a few times off camera, and all the times I have flown it, it's been fine. I've never had any weird problems. I know Xbox Series S users have had reports of the screens blacking out. I've never had that problem in that plane, mainly just because I'm in Series X. So I'm not sure if that's a common thing with Series X, but in Series S there's a lot of problems, so I know people complained about that before, so that's not really a good thing for it. But I will do it, you know, just to, it is fun. I mean, it's, the outside of the plane, it looks decent, it looks good enough, and it's just something else just to fly around. Obviously, when the PMDG 737 releases, that's going to be, like, nothing's going to be able to top that at all. I mean, not even the A320 in this. I mean, it's, you know, even the default, it has its limitations. Obviously, it's not a study level aircraft by any means, but I mean, it does teach you enough, but obviously not enough as the PMDG products do. So hopefully when that gets released, there'll be some livery packs. If not, I'll still fly it. I mean, regardless, I mean, it'll still be a lot of fun. Boeing is definitely one of my, 737-700 is definitely one of my favorite variants, just because I've been in that plane hundreds of times from just doing short travels and stuff. So it's definitely something I've come to know and experience, and it's just ever since I was a kid, one of the first planes I really got to really fall in love with. So and I guess the other plane that I really liked a lot was the A330, so I think Aerosoft is going to be coming out with that, but obviously it just takes its time, so we'll see. But I know the PMDG is going to be coming out very soon, if they're already letting other developers have a chance, or like other people to actually review it, so it's definitely on the way out. So that's why I'm guessing probably the next couple months we'll definitely see some real big announcements, and I'm just hoping I'm hoping for next month, just how quickly if they're able to release a promo video displaying everything on full display and how everything works. I'm assuming that it's pretty much almost ready to go, but I know they want to be careful, because if they release it and it's not good, there is going to be a uproar of the likes we've never seen before. So I can definitely see they're playing their cards close to their chest in a way. But at the same point, they just want to make people happy, and they want to get it out there. But you know, got to come from a business standpoint, where you don't want to release a product that's not good and then have people disappointed after they spent money on it. So it's definitely a thing they want to avoid for sure. So obviously that's why they've been taking their time. So I'm hoping that, yeah, I'd say 2 months would be a fair guess. Stranger things have happened, so we'll see. But going back to the point before, I'll definitely be doing I'll be uploading some flying of the 737. And I'm gonna have to do a little bit more research into getting the FMS to work, because I know it's a lot different compared to the Airbus one. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit more research to make sure that I nail everything as close as I can. So we'll see. It should be, obviously, my work schedule is really hectic. I've been doing lots of shifts where I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I get home and I'm just, it's exhausting. But it's been a couple weeks since I've actually uploaded something, and I know you guys have been wanting to see stuff, and I want to keep you guys up to date with stuff that I'm doing and stuff. So I love doing this. So it's been tough because I haven't really been able to do this. I've been trying to get some promo pictures and pictures up for my social medias, but I'm just too tired to actually sit down and talk and to actually just have a good time, honestly. So that's why today is good. I'm trying to get more stuff out as much as I can. The schedule changes quite a lot, so it's just a matter of just rolling with the punches. Make sure we're doing good here. So we should reach our top of climb in about 40 nautical miles. Wind is definitely helping us, so that's really good. I don't have to speed up our ascent at all with the vertical speed here, so I think we're doing good. And as you can see, where it is, that point, we need to just start descending at. So it's about under 170 nautical miles away. So I have to be at 10,000 at this point right here, and then it should just be a nice slow descent into Amsterdam. As much turbulence. I kind of expected there to be a little bit more. When I was getting the pictures for the EasyJet that I posted, I was flying over the Alps, and I've never seen turbulence on the scale of that. It was absolutely insane. I was getting readings of like 100 on here, and it was coming directly at the side, so the plane was almost flying sideways the entire time, and the plane was like a roller coaster. I was surprised. It was the craziest I've ever seen turbulence in this game. I'm not sure if that's like accurate or not, but it was pretty rough, and it was causing my plane to just kind of roll, do like that Swiss roll type thing where it just keeps just banking left and right all the time. So it was pretty crazy. And then I did a quick, there's a way to do landings in this where you basically just select the runway you just want to land at, and you don't select your starting point, so you just select that as your starting point, so you can just do quick landings, and you can just practice them over and over if you want to get better at landings. I did that with the 737. I just did a quick landing on the Ryanair just to see if the new model, since I don't really fly that much, I don't really know what's changed or like what's been improved, so I got into it and I just landed really quickly to get that quick screenshot, so I didn't actually do a full flight with it, because I tend to do practice. I like to do like little, whenever I do a stream or anything, I try to do the flight once before I go live, just to make sure that everything works the way it's supposed to, that the flight plan that I've entered in is actually correct, because I get all the information from SimBrief, so I make sure that, sometimes things don't really translate well over into the sim, as you've seen in my other videos where like I've had to do shortcuts, but that's fine because most of the time air traffic control just gives you vectors to get in quicker to the airports. So some routes I'm not familiar with by hand because I haven't actually flown in them in real life, so I just have to kind of go off of what I'm seeing. So I tend to do like lots of practice flights before I go live, just to make sure everything's actually working and there's no weird problems halfway in the middle of it, and then you basically have to restart the whole thing. So that's what I usually like to do. So I did that with the 737 just to test it out to see what it, and it's pretty good. The thing that bothers me with that is that the whole integrated panel lighting in the 737 is like everything's like white. So like if you turn on the integrated lightings here, obviously the default is like this yellowish color. Obviously in the real A320 it's like an orange color. So in the 737 in this, it's white, and then the overhead panel is orange. But in the actual 737, I believe that they're all orange. They cross the entire board. Orange seems to be pretty much the default. It's like a amberish color. It's like a yellowish orange color. So I just find that really weird that they did that. They should have just made everything orange, and they should have just done that in this too. I don't know why they chose yellow. I have mentioned before, just kind of bugs me sometimes. Like small little things like that. I don't know why, but I mean, obviously, if you're looking to get a real experience, I mean, it's just a nitpick, honestly. Usually, if I'm flying in the daytime, I don't really have the integrated lights on, and I mostly just fly with all the lights turned off because, I mean, obviously, you can see everything and read everything clearly. So it's just funny. I didn't know that at the beginning when I first got this. I was like, oh, this looks nice. And then I started seeing videos on the actual cockpit, and I was like, oh, that's actually a difference. It's just a weird how they chose yellow. I'm not sure if that's just a licensing thing, honestly. It's just, I don't know. I know Captain Sims, actually, I know the whole controversy with that developer, but his planes models inside look really decent and look just like the real. Obviously, the 767 doesn't at all, but the 777 looks pretty good, and they got the coloring of all the lights correct and everything. So it's just interesting how different developers choose what they want to do and the extent that they want to go to. I think I'm going to turn off fasten seatbelt sign. It's pretty smooth right now. I don't really need to worry about anything. If we get a look on the map of where we actually are, what's going on in rants over there, but back to the flying. As you can see, we're making pretty good time, and we'll have to be at 10,000 here, so we'll probably start our descent around here, and then basically just 10,000 for a little bit, and then we need to be at 10,000 or at least 700 is the minimum. 10,000 maximum, 7,000 sorry, is the minimum height we need to be around here. And I believe from all the charts, it's pretty much just at the ATC's discretion of what they want you to fly in. But I know at, I guess it's not popping up, but the main point we need to be at is at 2,000. So basically from 10,000, we need to slowly descend to 2,000 as we're coming into the approach right here. So pretty simple. Obviously, if I have anyone who's living in the UK, I don't know if this is what the actual weather looks like, because I know Storm Eunice is, I'm not sure if it's still going right now. This just looks like typical UK weather to me. Nothing interesting going on here, but I know I'm not sure if it's still Storm Eunice at the time of this recording, if it's still going on. Reach our cruising level. Cruising. Coming up in a second. Already in our managed Mach speed. Let me guys know what you think about the livery and how Britick has actually handled everything. I mean, I think this one is definitely the best one out of the package that I've seen. The Swiss Air one, it's getting way too loud. The Swiss Air one is actually looks really nice as well. I'll be doing probably some Swiss Air flights as well, because I really like flying into Zurich, and which all the airports in Switzerland are really nice. Get a really good approach into all of them, so I'll be doing more though. I haven't actually checked that one out. I've seen pictures of it and it looks pretty good, but I have to get up and close just to see what it's actually like. But from this one that I've seen, it's not bad. As I said before, I really like the Neo on it. I was kind of curious to see if Fortuner was looking to do this one, but I don't think they are. They're just keeping it just the standard EasyJet design. Forcifer ones, there's the door right here, isn't too good. I mean, it's good, but it's a little jagged around here. The Forcifer one looks pretty good as well, but I noticed that their quality, I think they said they're going to be updating it to 8K, because when I take a look at it, it's not, some of their liveries are not 100% crystal clear when it comes to the letterings and stuff, but I noticed that Breedock, their stuff has a pretty good quality when you get up close, for obviously for certain parts, not everything, but obviously they're doing a really good job either way. Both companies, they try to do their best. Some decisions are probably better made than others. I mean, I know everyone really likes the F-22 Raptor, but I'm just not. I think they added a Garmin navigation system into the cockpit, which just blew my mind. But just something to fly around and have fun with and do formations with friends and stuff. It's pretty fun. I can get the whole idea behind it, but someone like me, I don't really know too much about military, you know, flying and stuff like that, or like what the protocols are and different things like that. So I just tend to stick with commercial stuff. I just wish there's a little bit more commercial airlines or planes to choose from. Obviously, we have the A320, 787, and the 747, but it'd be cool if they added, like, you know, at least a, I don't know, A330 would have been nice as well. I know X-Plane 12, they're showcasing a lot of the A330. Or if they had an update where PMDG is doing the thing where you can actually use the FMS to actually customize the interior of everything. It'd be cool if you could actually do that in like the A320, where you can actually change, if you want to go to the old school A320, like the, I don't know the exact model number it is, but it's not the Neo. But just like to change the winglets and also to change the engines and stuff, I think that'd be really cool. Just have a little bit more customization. So I really like how PMDG is doing that. It's really nice that you can, you know, customize it to the way that you like it. Whoa, what was that? Hey, you just ascended 900 feet. Okay, so that's funny. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that glitch in a long time. That used to happen a lot when I first got this. The plane would just completely just shake for no reason, and I think it's adjusting. It's something to do with like updating the weather as it goes. So like as you're flying, sometimes the weather will update and the plane adjusts to the new pressure and also adjusts to the new wind changes, and the plane just completely goes haywire. So I haven't seen that in a long time, so that was really interesting. I thought what's going on there for a second, but that's really interesting. I haven't seen that glitch happen in a long time. We're also going to be starting our descent in a little bit, so I'm going to descend. So we need to be at 10,000, so let's go ahead and start a descent of a speed of 1,000. While that's happening, now we can get our approach phase set up. Let's pull up the weather. Let's go to Amsterdam. And this just updated recently, so we have winds at 20 knots at 310. So we might be getting a bit of a crosswind. There's a slight crosswind. It looks like transition altitude is at 3,000. Let's go ahead and get the temperature, which is 5. Oh, sorry. 5 QNH is going to be, for the sake of this, okay, so it looks like a 29.74. And let's go ahead and pull up the chart quick, the approach plate. So the MDA is going to be at 440, and decision height is at 188. Alright, everything checks out, and approach phase is set. Weather at Amsterdam reporting, so visibility is greater than 6.2 square miles. Don't think we have any rain or anything. No. So I've broken at 1200 and we have few clouds at 1000, so not too bad. So it should be a pretty easy visible approach. Transition altitude, yeah, it was at 3000. So when we get to 3000, we'll switch back to HPA is going to be at 1007. But converted is at 2974 for inches. Or sorry, I think I'm getting it mixed up. Obviously, this is the American way measurements. European uses, well, I think everywhere else pretty much just uses HPA, so hectopascals, I believe is what it's called. Correct me if I'm wrong. Since America likes to measure in inches, they switch to a different system of measurement. Icing either. Yeah, whenever that glitch happens that we saw earlier, that stuff always freaks me out because I think something terrible is about to go on. So, but yeah, that used to happen quite a lot. When I first got this, it would happen like every 10 minutes. It was really annoying. So like you'd be flying and then all of a sudden the plane would just jerk around as if it just got hit by a 200-mile-an-hour crosswind. So it was really annoying, and then your speed would shoot up or down and your height would just automatically increase by like 100, like anywhere from like 100 to like almost 1,000 feet. It's crazy. So I haven't seen that in a while. They fixed it, but I've noticed when I've done other practice flights it's happened. But thankfully when I stream it, it hasn't even happened, so it's really interesting. So that was the first one that I was actually able to catch while streaming. Let's go ahead and increase a little bit more. Let's go ahead and go to 15. So let's do 18. All smooth flight so far, not really too much in terms of turbulence. As we can see here, so we follow this approach and then we basically do like a nice little loop here, and then we basically just come straight into the runway 27. We'll be able to fly right over, yeah, we fly right over the city, so that'd be really nice to see as we're coming in. Make sure to get some good shots of that. Let's make sure our speed stays at 240. I know sometimes it likes to decrease even more, than it just... Actually, descending causes problems, so I'm just going to leave it there at 240 until we actually get closer, and I'll switch back to managed. Let's go ahead and just double check the approach plate to make sure that we're on target here. Yep, so looks like we're doing good. Scenery of all the clouds. That's what I love. I'm just happy that we actually got some European livery so I can actually do more flights here. And if you guys have any suggestions of places that you'd like to see, or just have any recommendations of places that you want me to fly to, so because it's most of the European airports I don't really have too much experience with, besides like Dublin and London. So it'll be really interesting to see. And I'd like to do some more interesting flights and maybe some more smaller region airports. I know EasyJet and Ryanair usually do those types of flights. They usually fly to more of the kind of like the smaller airports and stuff, since they are a low budget airline. But it's interesting too, because EasyJet was supposed to fly to Dublin, but I think they declined the offer, I believe. So no EasyJet is actually going to be able to, no EasyJet flights actually fly to Dublin, which is interesting. So EasyJet does fly to Belfast though, but I guess if you wanted to get a low budget airline into Dublin, you'd probably just have to fly Ryanair. And Aer Lingus is not too expensive, but obviously price difference would be pretty big compared to each other. I'm not sure what the rates are for those like EasyJet and Ryanair are, but I know they are low budget. I think Wizz Air is a low budget, but I'm not too sure where they fly at or where they operate. I've been seeing a lot more things about them, so I'm not sure if it's a new company or if they've just been around and they're just getting more attention, or if it's just a new airline that's actually just formed up and they're just advertising a lot more. But I know we got Wizz Air in this pack, so I've never even seen that airline, so I might have to do a little bit more research into that. We are doing good because we're cruising into this, so we are good. Go ahead, you can already see Amsterdam right over there. So let's go ahead and we're going to level off here, then we're going to reset to 2000, and then we're going to start our slow descent into Amsterdam. Going to keep in mind that we have a couple of turns, so also to keep in mind that we have a tailwind as well, so that's going to help push us. So we don't need to descend as quickly. Oops. There we go. Alright. Let's have a nice slow descent in there, and as we get closer we can adjust it, but 500 should be good for right now. And since we are below 10,000, we can go ahead and turn on our landing lights and get our approach set. Approach phase should be active since we are below 10,000. Arm spoilers, and let's do our brakes low since it's not really wet or rainy there. Don't need to worry about slowing down quickly. Also, that reminds me too, I know like a lot of people say that with Ryanair, obviously they have that whole meme about like how their landings are just awful, and a couple of factors about why that is A, they are a low-budget airline, so low-budget airlines are going to have a higher, probably, amount of younger pilots. Not younger, more like training pilots and stuff, so they are going to be younger, so obviously you're going to have more inexperienced pilots landing. Obviously the captains are going to be more experienced, but they usually let the first officers do some of the landings. And also another thing is, since they land at smaller airports, the runways are not as long as, say, like if they were compared to landing to like Amsterdam or Charles de Gaulle or like some of the bigger main regional airports. So obviously the runways are going to be smaller, so they have to hit the ground obviously a lot harder to stop the plane quicker, because they have a shorter time to actually get the plane to stop. I know from experience because I used to fly into Burbank from Southwest, and that runway landing is super shorter compared to like landing at another airport, since Burbank is one of those smaller airports. It's not like a major like LAX or something like that, so it's going to be smaller. So I remember even Southwest, I mean, there's some come down and your head would just smack right into the seat in front of you sometimes, because they have to come down so fast, and they have to stop pretty quickly, so they hit the ground a little bit quicker. But I've never had like an actual bad experience. I've never actually been on Ryanair, so I'm not too sure like what that feels like compared to that. But that's some of the reasons why it's really interesting. So if you're ever wondering like, oh, why is, you know, what's the whole joke about it, and why are they so like bad at landing, is just a couple of those factors, obviously. And I believe like Spirit Airlines is kind of like the same thing, and like America, it's like the equivalent. So it's just more of those things of just smaller airports, just, you know, inexperienced pilots with less like, you know, lower flying hours flying. So it's a few factors lining up. Nice shot right there coming over this beach. I don't know what beach this is, but it looks really nice. Feels like we were landing in Miami or something. Alright, so we are at 8,000 feet. We're getting a little bit closer, so we need to be at 2,000. And so it says 260, which is inaccurate. So according to the approach plate, it needs to be at 2,000, so we're doing good. Setting at a slow rate here, but that's fine because we have to, you know, take consideration of these turns. So we'll drop it down just a little bit to about 800. And obviously, as we pass below 3,000, we'll set our altimeter to 1007. We already got our MDA set. I still wish, I was hoping when I saw the description of Redox, like they updated the sounds of the autopilot, which they did, because when you disconnect it, the real Airbus, it has the same sounds as the default version, but there's two different sounds that happen. So in the default, those two sounds would happen like right next to each other. So like once the first sound goes, then the other one will kind of chime right after it. But this one in the real Airbus has like a slight delay between those sounds, and they actually did it correctly in this. So when I disengage the autopilot, you'll be able to hear it. It's kind of, I'm not sure if that makes any sense, but when you hear it, if you listen to actual pilots landing the Airbus, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you hear the autopilot get disengaged, you'll hear there's like a delay between, there's two different sets of sounds letting them know that the autopilot's been disengaged. Also, another thing is, I wish they had implemented the proper GPWS callouts like it does normally. It normally gives you like 2,500, 1,000, that stuff. But it never calls out the minimums. So that's when you ever hear minimums, they're talking about the minimum decision height. And that's basically the height that the pilot or whoever's, usually the captain, has the time to decide if they want to continue landing or if they want to abort landing or go for a go around. So whenever you hear that, so I was hoping when I read that, I was like, oh, it'd be cool if they actually had the minimum callouts or 100 above and stuff like that, but apparently not. So a little disappointed, but they did get one of the things right, which was nice. Really nice shot of Amsterdam right here. So we're at 6,000, we need to be at 2,000, so let's go ahead and descend just a little bit more. Go ahead and engage landing system. Everything else is looking good so far. Oh, there it is. There's that glitch I was talking about. So it just happened again. It wasn't as bad, but you can see how the speed just shot up immediately right there. I really don't know why it does that. Here. You see the glide slope is there, but we're not going to be able to catch it just yet, but it is active, so. And since we're almost about 10, I'm going to go ahead and slow us down, so I'm going to hit the manage speed here, slow us down, get us ready to deploy our first set of flaps. Since we were below 220, go ahead and deploy our first set. Should get us about 200, which is perfect since we're about 10 miles out. And we are at our correct height. So basically just wait until we can catch the localizer again, so we're getting close. The runway is right there, so I have visual on the runway. Since we were below. Oops. And that was interesting, I noticed it didn't even call out 2,500 yet, so I don't know why. I did it earlier and it was working fine, so that's interesting. localizer here, get us lined up correctly. Can't see the runway a little bit now since there's a cloud in front of it. And we have the glide slope. Alright.
Overspeed.
There it is again. So you wouldn't want that happen to you right when you're about to land. I'm surprised it's still doing it. So obviously this glitch has actually made a comeback. Let's go ahead and get our second set of flaps there. That just screwed up my speed. It sent me way over that I was supposed to. And we were about 6 miles out, so let's go ahead and deploy landing gear. Flaps 3.
1,000.
Okay, so it calls out 1,000. That's interesting because I did this before and it called out 2,500. So it's probably on Redux part, not necessarily consistent. We can go ahead. Alright, so there's the autopilot. You hear there was like a delay between those two different sounds, so that's accurate. Which I really like that they added that in. So I'm hand flying it at this point. And we're getting that kind of crosswind that I saw on the weather report, so just got to keep it nice and steady here. Crosswind, so plane's angled here a little bit.
$100, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20. Retard. 5.
Reversers green, decel. Alright, not too bad. The rudder controls are very sensitive on the Xbox controllers, so that's why whenever you see my plane, it's like you barely tap it and the thing starts to wiggle around a lot. Barely tapping it and it's already moving around, so I gotta adjust it a little bit, but pretty good landing, I would say. And we're going to taxi to this terminal over there. Nice beautiful day in Amsterdam. Sounds. sunlight. Some nice Delta planes here. Looks like an A350 and A330. 777. I really wish we had the A330 in this. Parking brake set, and let's get the jetway connected here. Get a power supply and then the baggage. Wait for the jetway to be connected. We'll go ahead and turn off our engines. Alright, let's go ahead and turn off engines. Turn our beacon light off. And we got external powers on. Let's go ahead and get our power supply. Good shot right there. Alright, well, that was a pretty good, I'd say that was a pretty good flight. Got to experience some weather, a couple of bugs, but as you can see, you know, I experienced stuff too. I know people said like, oh, if my sim runs really smooth, and yeah, for the most part it does, but as you can see, I run into occasional problems here and there, but it's all about just rolling with the punches right now. Obviously that bug isn't really game breaking per se, but I mean, I could only imagine if that happened right before you're about to land, that could really mess things up, especially how the plane jerks. So I've never experienced that, but like I said, that used to happen quite a lot when it first came to Xbox, and after a couple of world updates it actually got fixed, but I haven't seen it return until like I think the last, or the one before that. So it was really interesting, but I would say pretty good. And like I said before, I'm going to be doing the nice things cutting right through the engine. I'll be doing a Ryanair flight. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a little bit more, like just getting to know the aircraft myself, learning how the FMS works and all that stuff. So I'll definitely be taking my time with that, making sure that I get as close to the real experience as I can, with the limitations that there is. But I will get those out as soon as I can. And also I'll be doing more like just standard flights, and you guys also, if you have any suggestions of where you want me to go, let me know and I'll definitely check them out, and I'll look up their actual charts and flight plans and see if I can get a real, you know, as close to the real thing as possible, because I just like to try and do things as close as I can without actually being in the sky. So, but yeah, with that, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And like I said, I really appreciate all the subscribers and, you know, all the help that you guys have been giving me and just the support, honestly, because I just did this for fun, just because I enjoyed doing it. And I was like, well, might as well, you know, just let other people see that you can, you know, do stuff like this on the Xbox and have fun. So, you know, I'm really grateful that, you know, it's blown up as much as it has, and especially on my social media accounts, it's gotten bigger than I honestly expected it. So, I mean, yeah, I'm just really thankful that you guys are actually enjoying it, and you guys are giving me feedback, and, you know, yeah, honestly, I just never expected it. So it's really nice, you know, that I actually got some recognition and that you guys are really enjoying it. So like I said, if you guys have any ideas or want to see tutorials on anything, I can definitely do that, because I know I've only posted two tutorials. But obviously, if there's something you guys are struggling with or want to see, or just something for fun you guys want to do, just let me know and I'll definitely do that. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. And make sure you guys follow my other socials. You can see, like, whenever I'm going live, I'll post updates on those. Like, my Instagram is pretty much my main source. Twitter I do every now and then, but Instagram seems to be the one that's really has a lot of people on it, so I have more of the audience there. So I'll post on there whenever I'm ready to upload. So I appreciate it, guys, so much. And I'll be uploading soon. I always post notifications before I'm doing it, so to give you guys a little bit of a chance to get on there. So I will see you guys in the next one, and as always, happy flying and stay safe out there. Alright, guys, thank you.